Welcome everybody, I'm Billy. This is video number 6 for FreeCAD Absolute Beginner Woodworker's Perspective. So today we are going to introduce drawing various pieces of an assembly and putting them together. We haven't done that yet, everything's been flat. And we're going to introduce drawing on a plane that is not your typical vertical, horizontal planes. So that'll definitely be educational. And then I want to show you, since what we're going to build here, well, I'll tell you what, let me show it to you, and then I'll explain something else I want to show you. It's related to 3D printing versus woodworking. Let me pull it up here. So this is it right here. It's a fishtail wall box. It's pretty easy to draw. However, for an absolute beginner, it's a challenge to learn how to move the parts around and make them match up to actually build I'll call it an assembly. And if you notice right here, this edge of the wood is at an angle. It's not 90 degrees from horizontal. I don't know what that angle is yet, but I'm going to show you how to take this front board here and use this surface here as a reference to make a plane to draw this on, and then it'll fit right on there with no issues. So all right, let's go ahead and get into it. And also let me show you the here you go. Here's the dimensions, a material list at the top. I'll be introducing what I like to do with material lists. I go ahead and set up my the bodies and name them ahead of time. So I'll show you that as well. All right, let me go ahead and pull up FreeCAD. All right, we're going to start a parametric part. You see it already gives us our body. What I'm going to do, it's just something that I do all the time, is I take the material list, and you see we got 1, 2, 3, 4 items. The last one there is a nail. We're not going to draw the nail. However, I'm thinking in the future of doing some woodworking hardware. I think that would be good. That's more mechanical, but that would be something that you would eventually want to do in woodworking. So we'll take this material list and I'll show you how I set up the bodies. Okay, we have body 1 already there. I will come up here to this body and just select 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. There, now we have our bodies set up. And I'm going to look at the names real quick. Back, front, side, bottom. And there's 2 sides, so I'll create another one for that. So back, front, side, bottom. I'm going to create one more body here. There you go. All right, so select the body. Select the F2 key on the keyboard. And I'll set it to caps, name that back. Arrow down 1, hit F2 key again. That's the back. Sides, side, delete key on the keyboard. There we go. All right, so we got the back side, bottom and front right here. Let's start with the back. You can open that up. You can see it's not highlighted, so we need to highlight it first. So I'll select on it. Let me double click it. There you go. the word switched over to bold, and what that tells me is that that body is now active, ready for a sketch. So I could do that with the front here too, like double click front, and there you go. And then if you select anything else, you can see it's highlighted green. That's pretty important when you're doing additional parts, building an assembly. And the other way to do it is also, because you know me, I like to show you more than one way to do certain functions. You can select any one of these, and instead of double clicking it, you can always do the, is it edit? Oh, I'm sorry. Select it and right click it, and then you see that active body. You just put a check mark right there, and it turns it as an active body. So I'm just going to select it here to show you that, yep, that did turn green. And these colors, all this can be changed in the preferences. And I think when I'm doing with this series, I may show a video on showing you how to set up preferences. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get this rolling. Since that's the active body, I should be able to hit a sketch, and we can select any plane, but since we're drawing the back of the item first, I'm going to go with the XZ plane. Alright, so XZ is the plane I want to draw on. I could either select it here, I'll try it here. Double click that. Alright, let's see the overall dimension. 14 by 8.5. Close that out. I always do that because I want to see if this screen is sized properly. So I'm going to put, I'll do construction line, what the heck. I'll draw this rectangle. Already I can see it's only 3 inches tall, so I'm going to select that line, put a dimension on it, call it 14. There you go. There we go. So that's the right size screen we want right there. What I'm going to do is delete the whole thing. I just click it, left click it up here in the upper left corner above the rectangle, and then just drag it down and release the button. And then I use the delete key on my keyboard. Alright, I'm going to pan this down with my center mouse button, because what I want to do is use this red x-axis here as the bottom and build up from there. So my screen is the right size, and I do want to center the back on this vertical line here. So let me go ahead and pull the screenshot back up. We're going to do kind of a U shape here to get the shape going. 7 3/8, 8.5. Switch this back over from construction to regular. Alright, so we want to do that continuous polyline there. Come down and select the red line there to lock it on that line. Select there to lock it on that line. And then there. And it is constrained vertically and horizontally, so we're good there. Alright, this bottom line we wanted 8.5, so I'll select that line, do dimension, and move this up some, and type in 8.5. That sets that. This line we wanted 7 3/8. 7.375. And then this line right here, we're just going to set it equal to that. So you grab either line, it doesn't matter which one you grab first. I'll get this one and this one, and since that's already dimensioned, this one will be that equal to that when I use the equal constraint. There we go. Now we want to get it centered. So what we'll do, we got 8.5, so we know that's going to be 4 1/4. So I'll go from this point over to the origin point and dimension, and we'll go 4 1/4. All right, fully constrained on that U-shaped piece there, and then we'll build it from there. Let me pull our reference up. I want to put this arc in there, and it's got a little bit of a straight piece there, and then the arc. I'm not seeing a radius for it, so we're going to use this grid. It's a 1-inch grid, and this may not even be a full arc. It could be an ellipse. So let's try to work from that. How do I want to do this? I'll put some straight horizontal pieces here on these ends, and then I'll just put an arc in there, and then we'll try to shape it from there. Alright, so here we go with line segment there. Set that to horizontal. Hit that end point, drag it over. There we go, horizontal. And then for an arc, this is a center and end of arc, end of arc. I'm going to choose arc by 3 points, and usually it gives me the 2 end points, and then I can set the radius. So there's one end point. I'll set the other one kind of sort of up here somewhere, and we'll just adjust it there. I'll do the same over here. End point is about up here, and I move left to right to just kind of adjust the radius about right there. Okay. I don't know if that is tangent right there. I'm going to go back and look at the photograph or the reference. It appears tangent to me. Alright, so to set a tangency, this constraint up here, you want to select the arc and then the line segment and select tangent. There you go. And then I'll left click that red dot and just kind of pull it over a little bit. I don't think it matters if you select the arc or the line segment first. This time let's try the line segment, then the arc. So line segment, and then I'll select the arc, and we'll go back up here with tangent. Yep, there we go. Zoom in and pull that red dot over. Back to the reference photo. Okay, I'm going to have to work off this grid to get dimensions. This is not dimensioned very well, so I'll use the grid. Since it's a 1-inch grid, I know that this corner over here, it looks like it's just shy of a half inch, since the lines are 1 inch apart. So I'm going to call that 3/8. So I want to go, all right, that's 3/8. So what do we got between it? Let's call that up here just about touching the line. So I'm going to go from there to that line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know I said 3/8 up, so that would be 5/8 from there down. So 4 and 5/8 is from the end of the arc into the arc is what I'm going to go with. So now I'm going to, instead of doing an automatic dimension, I'm going to come in here. I want a vertical distance. I'm going to grab that point, this point, and I'm going to set that to, what do we say, 4 and 5/8. So 4.625. There we go. All right, and we'll come over here on this side and do the same once I get it kind of dialed in. All right, back to the reference. I'm working on heights now, and then I'll come over here and work left to right on the widths. All right, so let's just say that the end of that arc is right on that line, and we'll go up 1, we'll go up 2 inches. Oh, we have end of arc to end of arc over here 1 inch down, which it actually is 1 inch up, so I can work with that. All right, let's try that. So we have, let's put another arc in there. Use this same 3-point arc. That's the end of arc. And the other end of the arc we know is going to touch the Z axis. So I want to make sure I got that selected. And come on. All right, try it again. Oh, there we go. All right. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it right now, right there. Okay. Now I want to go from this point up to that point there, which is 2 inches. Nope, I'm sorry, 1 inch. From there down to that line there, 1 inch. So from that point to that point, I don't want to select automatic. I'm going to do a vertical distance. Set that to a 1. Actually 2, I think is what it was. 2. Okay, I'm going to grab that dimension and just kind of pull it off to the right. Alright, now let me look at how I want to shape that. So from there, oh, I went 2 inches. I want to go 1 inch from there to there. Let me go back and change it. So double click this dimension, make it 1, and that pulls it down. All right. All right, so now we've got to go 1 up there. We want to go 1 more inch up to the top of that arc. This is not going to be exact, so I'm going to put a line segment in there and then try to find a diameter, a radius that'll work, that'll get it close. And then we still have to work on this radius here. Okay. So we want to go another inch up to there. Oh, I know how to do that. If I just select a line, I'll just go ahead and let me just put the line right there on that radius, and I'll pull it over here until we get it horizontal. There we go. You see that horizontal constraint. So this is where we set it tangent, and then we can adjust the height. So I'm going to select that line segment, select that arc, use tangency, and we're there. Now when we set a dimension, that line gives us the top of that arc. So we want that 1 inch away from this point here. All right, so I'm going to select that point, and instead of grabbing that line, because I'm going to end up erasing that line, tell you what we're going to do. This line, I'm going to make it a reference line or a construction line. So let me right click over here just to undo anything I've got going on. I'm going to select that line and go up here, and there you go. It's a dotted line, and that won't count against me in my degrees of freedoms over here when I'm trying to apply dimensions. Okay, so now I can put a dimension on that line, and we said we want to go 1 inch from here up to there. So let me select the end of that arc, and I want to select that point there, vertical distance, and we want 1, hit enter. All right, let me go back and see if that looks right. I think I have to work on pulling this arc over to the right, away from the center line some, so that this will take shape up here. So let me give that a shot. I know that from the center line over, that's 1 inch. 1 3/4 to the edge of that arc. Maybe we can pull that tangency trick again. So 1 3/4 over. Yeah. Yeah, see how I pull that over? It actually kind of locks itself in place right there. All right, let me. Okay, we got a little bit of freedom there on that. That radius is kind of locked in. Let's give it a shot. We want to do a vertical construction line. We change it to construction. Do a vertical construction line. Just hit that radius there, come down, you get the vertical constraint symbol there. Right click to get out of it, and then now we want to grab the edge of the arc, the line segment, and tangency. There we go. Now we want that this line to be 1 3/4 over. Let's see if we can make that happen. So from that dot to this z-axis, 1.75, enter. Okay. All right, I'm seeing a small line segment there. Go back to here. Yeah, it's small. It's a small line segment. I'll go with that. Try the other side now and see how that turns out. All right, so we will just duplicate what we have here, but we'll duplicate it over on this side. All right, so the arc, endpoint to endpoint, we know we want that at 4.265. 4.625. Okay, right click. I'm just looking at something here real quick. Yeah, there you go. I was thinking we might have some degrees of freedom there. Oh, as I pull this to the left, my line segment goes away down there. Pull it out to the right, and that really doesn't help me get my line segment back. I think what I want to do is make this arc endpoint and this arc endpoint align with each other vertically. So let me do that. Grab that point, grab this point, and I will select this. This is like a vertical and horizontal constraint. It'll automatically detect that you're trying to do vertical. So I'll, instead of like going down here and hitting vertical, I should be able to just hit that. So let me grab those 2 points again. Again, I'm just trying to show you more than one way to do things there. And that's what it did. It assumed I wanted vertical. All right, so all that's locked in. It's green. And then I want to duplicate it on this side. It gave me back a little bit of my ledge there. So we're not too far off from what we're trying to accomplish on that reference picture. Now I want to go from left to right. I know I want to get this 1.75 over to the vertical line here. So let me start off with putting a construction line in here like we did before. We just grabbed the arc, pulled it down, make sure we had a vertical constraint. I just noticed that my purple highlighted is not showing, so I apologize. I'm sure you could probably follow along. I'll turn it back on here in just a second. All right, so I got that line attached to the arc, I pulled it down, I got a vertical constraint. Now we just need to make it tangent to there. Let me right click to get that. Okay, there we go. Now I can select the arc, the line segment, tangent, grab that line. Now we have, we can set the tangency of that arc 1 3/4 from the Z axis here. So I'll select that point, select the Z axis, select this box, come over and 1.75. Okay. Remember, we want this end of the arc to be vertically constrained so that's pretty much making it a semicircle. So what I'll do is I'll grab that endpoint, and again the constraints, and there we go. We're getting there. Now this one shouldn't be too hard. We should be able to just go endpoint to endpoint, put our arc up there, and then we can make it tangent to that construction line that we already have. So I'm going to turn construction mode off so I can draw regular lines. Use this arc, go endpoint to endpoint, and I'll just drop it there. Right click to get out of it. Now I should be able to just grab this arc, that line segment, and do the tangent constraint. There we go. Everything is green, is fully constrained. The only reason why you're getting these 3 degrees of freedom here is because of the construction lines. But because, well, you know what? If you wanted to be neat about this, which I am, these center points on the arcs can now be located, and we would not need these construction lines, and then therefore that would clean up this. Because if you come back to your degrees of freedom up here in the upper left side, it could be confusing if you have these construction lines. So I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to select it, delete, select it, delete, select it, delete, and without moving any of these, I should be able to lock in the center points. Let me start off by giving it height. Now be careful when you select it that you don't drag it, because it'll change the radius of the arc. Just very carefully select the point. There you go. And we'll select this line down here, and we'll put a dimension on it. And I'm going to keep that dimension. I know everything's orange right now. I'll figure that out. It's over constraint. Alright, it didn't like that. I thought I could get out of it. Alright, let me try something else here. Right click. Alright, I'm just going to, again, try not to grab it and move it, but I'm going to select the radius. I mean the arc, and I'm going to select dimension here. Nope. I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard. Right click. So maybe the height is 4 degrees of freedom. So let me select that. I'm going to select it and then look down here and see what the problems are. And then as you drag your line over these, it should highlight over on the right. I see I got an arc there, and those upper arcs. All right, I should be able to, this is all locked in. You see that 7 3/8, and then from there to there, it's redundant to give a dimension from there down, so that's why it was giving me trouble. However, I don't think it'll be redundant if I measure from this center point of the arc down to the X axis on both sides, and that'll get rid of 2 degrees of freedom. And then the last degree of freedom, I think, is just setting these 2 radiuses. So let me give that a try. And try not to move your mouse, just very carefully select it, left button, go to that line, hit dimension. Let me try that again. Right click to get out of it. So I think if I just select that one, let me try that, select it. It's shown selected over here as arc number 9. And I hit this, I think it'll default to the X datum. Let's try that. There you go. Yep. See? So I didn't have to go down there and select it. And I'm just going to hit OK and accept that. Yep, got rid of the degree. I'm going to do the same thing here. You can see next to the cursor, we still have that automatic dimension. I haven't right clicked yet, so I can just keep using this, which I think I will. Oh, no, I didn't want that. Escape key, right click. Go back up here and select it. This is the one I wanted right here. That. Okay. And with it still selected as auto dimension, if I hit these radiuses, it'll give me a radius. We don't want to change anything. We just want to accept it. And we got one more radius to do. Select that. Come out there. Okay. And there we go. All right, now if I'm not mistaken, we have a small hole to put in here, probably for hanging it on a wall. Let me go back and look at our screenshot. Yeah, looks like 7/16. I'll check my book. It is 7/16 diameter. And using this grid, 1 inch, I'm going to go like 1 1/8 down from approximately that intersection. Right there. So from that intersection of the arcs down, I'm just going to go 1 1/8. Yeah, that'll work. And then 7/16 diameter. All right. All right. Put a circle in there. Oh. Right click. Try that again. There. We just want to touch that vertical line. And while it's highlighted, you can see it highlighted. It wants a diameter. It would be 7/16 diameter. So I'm going to type 7/16, hit enter. Our circle is the right size. Let me zoom in. I'm going to right click to get out of that. All right, I'm going to select the center point of that circle. Make sure I got it and not the line. If I select the line, it turns blue, but there you go. Got that. And then this intersection or end point of the arc. Select that. And this line here, and vertically, we said 1 1/8, so 1.125, enter. And there we go. Now we're fully constrained. I'm going to close, roll the wheel back on the mouse, get that about the right size, and we're going to pad it. There's your pad command up here. Move this over. How thick is that? In my book, it's 3/8 thick. So we'll go with 3/8, and it's close right now, but it's 0.375. Hit enter. Okay, there we go. The other sides in the front and everything is going to be easy. That was a little bit of a challenge, but we got it. All right, go up here and select that, because I always like to put it in that orientation as I'm drawing. Okay, our back is done. Collapse that. Let's do either a side or a bottom. Pull this up. Yeah, I see the angle there. Is this angle down too? Is that 90? I hope it's 90. I think it's just the curvature. Yeah, it's the curvature of my page when I took a picture of it. I tell you what. such high-tech professional photography here. Nothing but the best for you all. All right, so that's 90 degrees. So then it should be just a line, 90, 90, and then we have that angle. We don't know what that angle is, but the angle will be determined by this dimension down here, which is 4 1/8, and the one up here, which is 4 1/2, and we have a height of 5. All right, here we go. What I'm going to do is draw this on a plane. Let me go to the side here. And this origin, I'm going to turn that eye on so we can see our different planes. Now there is a way to draw using this face right here. The problem with that is there's a few steps you have to take, because if you use that face, then the side that you draw is going to stick to it and you won't be able to move it around. The two parts will be kind of like glued together, and we don't want to do that yet. In the future, yeah, but right now I want to show you how to build a part, or at least what do I call it, an item of the assembly, and then move those items around. So let's go ahead, and we know that that face right there is on the same plane as this YZ. So I just turned this eye on up here to show you the different planes. So I'm going to turn that off now. Remember, we want to make this body active, so right click, select that, or you can double click it, but the letters are in bold, so that's good. That means it's active. Now we can draw a sketch. Now we can sketch on this YZ plane. I can select it here, or YZ plane is there. I'll double click that. There you go. Let's roll out. All right, I'm going to rotate this view over a little bit just to show you what's going on with the plane. There we go. You can see it's right on the center, because that's where we drew that back. We drew that back centered on that line there, so that's where we're at. So we're drawing on the right side. Let me go up here on the right, hit right. There you go. Now, there is a command up here. You can see my cursor. When you select that, what that does is it removes anything that's between you and the plane that you're drawing on. So let me select that. There you go. Now you can see that vertical line. Let me select it again. I'm going to roll this over just a little so you can see what's going on. When I select that, you'll see that it removes it. There you go, see? So that as you're drawing, this part does not cover up what you're drawing. So let me go to the right here. All right, so we got that out of the way. We can see our verticals and horizontal lines here. All right, let's go ahead with that side. We know it started here in this corner. We know it was a little bit of an angle over here, so let's just go ahead and go up to this. I call it a polyline. What do they call it? Yeah, create a polyline. Select the polyline. I do want it to lock in on that intersection. So there you go. You see intersection symbol come up. Select that. Come over to about right here, and yeah, I want to select that horizontal line. Now this, we know from the illustration, it was angled out a little bit. I'm going to exaggerate it, but I'm going to put it there. We'll come over to this line here, and I want to get my, there you go, my horizontal symbol. To the right of my cursor, you see that flat line. Now when I select that line, it'll be horizontal. And I want to close it up by selecting there, and there we go. Now we just put some dimensions on there. Right click to get out of that. All right, this top one was 4.5. So all I'll do is select the line, select dimension, select. I got the dimension selected. I must have missed the line, so now I'm going to select the line. There we go, and we want 4.5. All right, that's fine. This one is 4.125. So I already selected it, hit this. There you go, and I want 4.125, enter. And we know that we had a height of 5 inches. So I'm going to grab this line and see if the auto dimension, yeah, you see how it either aligns with that line, or if you drag it off to the side, either side, it'll convert over to a horizontal. That's what we'll go with. That, and push the 5, hit enter, and that is constrained. We close that, zoom back out a little bit, and we want to pad that to a thickness of 3.125. I think everything's 3.125. So I'll make that 3.375. Enter. And there you go. Okay. Now the fun. We have to get this side over to the edge of this line here. And how we're going to do that is, let me first go to the front, and I'm going to turn on the origin so I can see where it is. There we go, the Z-axis, and our pad is laying right on that Z-axis. And we know that it was 8.5 across the bottom, so this pad should be moved over 4.5 inches to get to here, and that will align it perfectly right on that edge. Okay, so I'm going to show you that way, and then I want to show you something else too, because there's always more than one way. So let's go ahead and do the easy way first. I'm going to do that. And let me turn that origin off. Okay, so we want to come up here and select the body. Let me close that. All right, select this body here, which is the side. I'm going to right click it and transform. What this does, you can grab these arrows and pull this shape into any direction. You can grab these spheres or balls or circles, and you can angle it. You can turn it to a specific angle. Now, up here is pretty important, because this dimension, 0.25, just means that if you grab it and start dragging it, it's going to go in that direction in 0.25 increments. Okay, so I know already I want to go 4.25, so I'm just going to swipe that and do 4.25. Now at this point, you don't want to hit enter, you don't want to do anything. All you want to do, now that you got that typed in, is grab the arrowhead right here and pull it to the right. So I'm going to select it with my left button, there you go, and pull it, keep pulling it, there you go. And it pulled it over there exactly where we needed it. Okay? All right. I'll go ahead and hit OK on that. And we're good to go. I'm going to hit this box up here just to get it oriented the way I like to get it oriented. All right, so we're getting there. But now we need another side over here. And in order to do that, we don't want to go through the whole, there's a couple of ways. You can open up this side. You can open up that pad we did. You can go to this sketch and you can copy those sketch items and bring it into another sketch. Bring that sketch into another body and call it side number 2 if you want. Do it that way. But what we're going to do, let's clone that part. Let me close that side. So how you clone something is you select, it doesn't matter if it's active or not. You can select any one of these bodies and clone it. So I'm just going to hit the side, and that sheep looking thing, whatever that is, I'll call it a sheep. For some reason that's create a clone. I want to select that, and it created another side, and it called it body 4. Let me open that, and there's your clone inside there. All right, it is currently occupying the same space that this side is. So you actually got a side there, and then you can see, I clicked it, I'm going to zoom in, you can see where it's highlighted on the corners. That body is there. They're both occupying the same space. So what we want to do now is move that body side over to here. All right, before I do that, I'm going to come up here, right click it, come down here, rename it, and I'm going to call it side 2. Side 2. Hit enter. There we go. All right, with side 2, I'm going to go ahead and I know that, and you can see some of it as you're moving that around. You can see it kind of sparkling because of the two sides are occupying the same space in the 3D environment. I want to get a distance of how far I need to move it. Now I know that line right there is 8.5. If I move this 8.5, it's going to put that side right up against there, and we don't want that. We want it to go another 3/8 beyond that. So let's move it. It'd be 8.5 and 3/8. So that's going to be 3/8 and half, 7/8. Duh. All right, so we'll move it over 8 and 7/8. All right, got the side selected. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select transform. And there you go. Currently up here on the left it's set to 4.25, and if we drag it, it's going to drag over 4.25. Keep dragging it, it's just going to keep going over in 4.25 increments. So I'm going to put it back. There we go, put it back. Come up here and type, come on Billy, backspace. All right, 8.875, that's 2.5, there we go. And again, you don't hit OK or anything like that. If you do hit OK, then you have to do the transform thing over, and when you do, that number will be there. For some reason, if you just type the number in and leave it, it'll use that number when you drag it. So I want to go left or right. I want to go from the right to the left. I'll grab that arrow and pull it, and it should pop right into place once I get far enough over. There we go. There we go. So we have a clone of that side now. I'll hit OK. All right. We got the sides on there. Close that. Now what do we want to do? I think maybe the bottom. Let me see how the bottom, I don't know if the bottom fits inside or if it acts like a cap to go over top of all that. Let's open it up and see. Opening up the reference, and that bottom is inside. All right. All right, we can work with that. All right, so I'm going to select bottom here to orient it, and we have to fit it inside there. We already have these parts drawn, so let's see if we can use some of those parts as reference when we draw this bottom. So I'm going to select the bottom here. I'm going to double click it, and that should make it active. Yep, it's active. And you can also right click just to verify. See the checkbox is there. All right, so with that, I'm going to hit Create a Sketch. You zoom in, and we want that plane right there. So that would be XY if you read it backwards. I'm going to double click that plane. All right. It flipped it around from bottom to top. Let me hit this go 180. There you go. That's where we started, but it wants to go this way. Now I'm going to take and rotate this a little bit just to show you where we're at. There you go. So if we draw, we're actually going to be drawing it right here. And then when we pat it, it's going to be coming towards you in the screen. And that would fill up in there. So that's right. That's right. But remember this icon up here where it removes any of the model that's in your way. So I'm going to select that. There you go. There you go. It removed it. I do want to hit select top over here to get everything aligned. All right, now in order to draw this bottom in here, we're going to have to either know the dimensions, which we do, or let's see if this reference icon will allow me to use these edges as a reference. Let's select reference, and it's not recognizing them. Okay, so I'm going to right click and get out of that. So what we're going to have to do is use math to draw this. So here we go. I'm just going to start off with a rectangle. It's about the right size. I know that this backboard right here was 8.5 across. So I'm going to set that line to 8.5. 8.5. And I know the sides, because we just did it on the side piece, the bottom was 4 1/8. So 4.128, the bottom part of that pad. Okay, that's yeah, that's fine. I must have hit a key on my keyboard and flipped the view around, but anyhow, I'll go with that. 4.125. There we go. Now we just have to center it. And let me flip this around. Yep, now we're on the bottom. All right, let me go back to here. Sorry to not trying to confuse you, but what happened? My palm swiped across the keyboard and it kicked me out of what we were doing. So I'm going to hit this dot up here, and it's going to put me back on the other side, the top. I'm going to select the top, and it'll get us aligned. And then I'm going to move over. Oh, okay. So this icon up here is still active. It's just when my palm hit the keyboard and flipped it around, it shows it when you get into another orientation. So again, I don't want to confuse you. Let me swing around and find, oh, there's the top in the upper right corner. If I just select top, it puts me back to where we need to be. Wow. But I do need to select that, select it again, and there we go. We got it. All right. All right, we're back to where we started. So now I need to get this line here three-eighths away from here, which is the thickness of that board there, so or that piece of wood. All right, I'm going to select this line. I'll just select that line. Do that, and I'm going to set it to 0.375. Hit enter. There we go. Now we've got to take care of aligning this from left to right. We got 8.5, so if we go from one of these sides over to this line at 4.25, that should center it. That's close. 4.25, hit enter. Okay, right click, and there we go. We're fully constrained. Something doesn't look right. Okay, all right, never mind. I thought this line down here was missing, but this dimension, when you pull it over top of it, let go of it, it covers it. So sometimes you just got to move these out of your way. Hit top. All right, we're fully constrained. I should be able to close it. And roll, scroll out. Now I got my scroll wheel, but also just to remind you that this icon up here will put the view, it'll shrink it down or size it up to fit inside the screen. So that'll save you from scrolling around. All right, I want to go ahead and see this icon up here. I'll put it right there. That's not what I want. All right, what's going on here? Oh, yeah. I want to hit isometric. There you go. All right, so we got that pad. The line is blue, which means it's ready to be padded. I'll select pad, and we want this over here. I type 0.375, enter, and there's our bottom. Something doesn't look right about it though, but I'm going to go back and look at the illustration, see if we can fix it. All right, let me open up that illustration. The bottom is out too far. We need to bring that in. Oh, this is going to be fun because this bottom is going to have an angle there where this one comes in, so we're going to have to change that. That'll be a challenge. But for right now, we're going to leave it right there. I'm going to go ahead and change the size of it to get it out of our way. Go up here to the bottom, open up the pad, double click on sketch, and then this 4 1/4. 4 1/8. I'm just going to change it right now, 3.5. That's going to bring it back. Just get it out of my way for now. Close it. There you go. You see it's back there. We're going to put the front here, and then we're going to bring this out, and we're going to have to put a little angle on that face. So I wasn't expecting to do that, but that's what we're going to do. That's going to be fun. All right, I'm going to go up here and select isometric and then figure out our plan. Turn on the origin. Put it over here. Right side. Okay, you can see if we use one of these planes here, they're all 90 degrees from each other. They're vertical to horizontal. We don't have any planes to let us work with that. So There are a couple of ways to do it, but for right now I'm just going to show you one, and then we're going to get into doing custom planes at a later date. But what I'm going to do now is, you see this icon up here in the upper left? That is the create a sub-object, or a shape binder is what you'll hear it as called. Most people just call it a shape binder. So we've done a clone today for the sides. Now I'm going to introduce you to shape binder, and shape binder is good for pulling, how do I explain it? It's good for reference. So I'll have to demonstrate it. And this way that I show it to you is just only one way to use it. There's many ways to use it. But what I want to do is eventually, well, I want to draw the front in the same plane as that angle. So I'm going to select these two faces here, that one, and I'm going to select this one, which I'm going to have to hold down my control key. I could just work off one face, but I'm going to hold my control key down and select the other face. And what that's doing is it's going to set me up for my next sketch, to where I'll be able to reference these edges on both sides, and it'll just speed up the whole process of drawing. All right, so with those two faces selected, we're going to come up here and select Shape Binder on your left button, Shape Binder. Okay. Now what happened, this is a good lesson, because the Shape Binder went into this body called bottom. We don't want that there. We want that shape binder into front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out. I'm going to undo this. We can drag it over into here, but I want to show you the right way to do it. I'm going to go back. There you go. The shape binder is gone. Now I'm going to hit select front, double click it, or I'll right click it and select that box. Now it's an active body. So whenever I create a shape binder, the shape binder is going to go into the active body where we want it, because that's where we're going to be using it, in that body, to create a front. All right, let me that. Just hold down control key, select the other face. Now come up here and select shape binder, and there you go. It dropped in under front. All right, let me turn these origins off here with this eye up here. There you go. The planes, not origins. Well, there. Okay, so our shape binders are there. You can see them highlighted, kind of goldish color. And you can turn them on and off with this eye selection. Turn it off, turn it on. But how I want to use these, I want to select the shape binder and create a sketch attached to those shape binders. The problem is that the object that the shape binder was created from, if you leave those on, when you try to use a shape binder to create a plane to draw on, then it will not work properly. All right, so I'm going to select that shape binder. You know it's a shape binder by the color when you select it. If I select that, it's blue. You see the shape binder there. I'm going to select the shape binder. I'm going to hit sketch, see what happens. Yep. This starts getting kind of screwy. So what I usually do, the objects that I use to create a shape binder, I just turn them off. So the two sides, I'll come up here and there's the eye selection, turn that one off and turn side number 2 off. There you go. Now you're just left with the shape binders. The shape of that object that we're referencing is there. Now I'll select that one. I don't recall selecting 2 shape binders to do a sketch, but I'm going to try it. Hold down the control key, select this shape binder, and then I'm going to hit the sketch. Okay. Right now it wants me to select one of the standard planes, but I'm trying to get on this shape binder. And I think because I chose two of them, that's the issue. Hold down the control key there. I think the problem is I selected two shape binders, so let me cancel that. Get out of there. Let me just select this one. Select that, then hit the sketch. That's exactly what it was. Okay. Let me spin you around here now and show you that. Let me see, right side. Here we go. So you can see that Z-axis now is angled. It's aligning with the shape binder that I selected. So the lesson here is just select one or the other shape binder. I was selecting two because I wanted to use both of them as reference, but it still might let me use this other one as a reference because it's inside of the binder, is inside of this body called front that we're creating, so it should allow me to select it. All right, I'm sorry I'm being cryptic here. Hopefully I'm not. So now we want to get aligned back to where we were, and if we hit front, we're not really exactly aligned because it's angling towards us. So what I want to do, I want to select that binder. Oh. How do I get to the face of the sketch? The original face of the sketch. I'm talking to myself here. Leave sketch, view sketch. Put it back there. What I'm going to try to do is pull it in as a reference. See this reference icon? Put that in. There we go. Select that. All right, we're going to have to select the edge. You cannot set a datum because the sketch contains conflicting constraints. All right, go down there. All right, let me try an edge. There you go. And let me try another edge. Yeah, all right, those are the edges we want. So now with those selected, let me try this. Up. All right, well, I'm going to just go with front for right now. There is a way to get correctly aligned to that plane, and I'll figure it out here in a minute. I think I have a way of doing it. So, all right, let me get back to the illustration, see what we're doing here. Oh, and that's going to be straight across the top too. Oh, so I'm going to have to show you something a little bit different. Stick with me. You see this line right here across the top? Right now, we're drawing from the left side over here looking to the right. We're on this face here. So when we pad the sketch, this line right here from that corner is going to go down because we're aligned to that. So the way to tackle this is to actually draw this from the right or left side and extrude it all the way across. Wow, I didn't think this was going to happen. Yeah. So what I'm saying is I'm going to have to draw right here this profile here and then pad it so that when I pad it, it goes from here all the way across, and then that top edge will be aligned. All right, so a different plan of attack. Let me come back over here to front, and I'm going to keep the binders, but I'm going to delete this sketch. First, let me go back to task, model, task. I'm going to close. We're out of that sketch. Select the sketch, and I'm going to delete it. I'm just going to get rid of it. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and select the binder, and I'm going to delete that. I'm going to bring back the sides over here, turn the eyes on. Turn that side on. There we go. And I'm going to go over here to the right side, and we're going to draw this using this edge here. Alright, so what I want to do now is I will select, let me go over here. I still want to do a shape binder, but I'm going to grab that. I selected that face. And I'm going to do a shape binder. The body that we want is active. Shape binder, you see the shape binder dropped in. And there it is right there. So I want to turn off the side. I could actually probably leave that side, but I'll turn them both off. There you go. And there's your shape binder. So now I'm going to select the shape binder. The body is active. And now I'm going to do a sketch. There you go. All right. So this is just simply an outline of the side. We're using it for reference. I'm going to select this so I can get a reference. There you go. Reference. And we got an endpoint to work with there, endpoint to work with there. Let's go ahead and make something happen. I'm going to right click. I'm going to try to use the polyline. And I'm just going to start from down here, go up here to that point. We got that angle is automatic because we're referencing that. We're going to go over to the left here, and we want it to that horizontal symbol. There it is, horizontal symbol. And then we can just come down, select this line anywhere, select it, and then close it right there. There you go, it's closed. Right click, right click. Now, what's happening here is, since this point right here is referenced, there's really no need for that constraint there, that horizontal constraint. So I'm going to select it and hit my delete key there. It was just over constrained. All right, so we know that we want parallel. We want this line and this line to be parallel. And there's a parallel constraint right there. There you go. Grab that line and move it. All right, it's parallel. That's horizontal across the top. That's what we want. Horizontal across the bottom. That's what we want. Now we know that we don't want to use this line segment and set it at 3/8 because that'll be incorrect. We want 3/8 from this line to this line. So right click, get out of that. I'm going to select this line, then this line. It's showing me I got 3 selected over here, so let me right click, get out of that. There you go. Let me try that again. Select this line and select that line. There you go. So we only had 2 lines selected. And then I'll hit dimension, and look at that. Yep, it's going to give it to me, give me the dimension that I want. And that would be 0.375, enter. And we're there. Fully constrained, close it. Let me spin around here. Let's pat it all the way across. We know it's 8.5. Pat it, but look at that. As we pat it, it's going in the wrong direction. So what you want to do is use reversed. This block over here on the left sends it in the other direction. In the future, if you do something with symmetry, you would select this symmetry block. Let me see, uncheck reverse, it's symmetry, and you can see it goes in both directions. That's for symmetry. So uncheck symmetry, we want to go reverse direction, and we know we want that to be 8.5. And there you go. Now you got your front. Bring the 2 sides back over here, turn them on, Turn it on. I'm going to collapse the front. All right, we're almost there. I didn't bring it over far enough. That's right, it's 8.5 plus that thickness and that thickness. So it should have been 8.5 plus 3/4. So it should have been 9.25. So we can go back to this front, select the pad, right click it, and edit it up here. Edit and change, while it's blue, just change that to 9.125. Enter, and that should close the gap. What did I do wrong? Oh, should have been 8.25. I think I did 125.75. How did that get to 8.8? Something didn't happen there. Oh no, that's transform. Cancel. I'm gonna right click, edit pad. Yeah, I did. It should have been 9.25, not 9.125. All right, it's getting late for me. All right, now select OK. Try it again. Right click it, edit the pad. 9.25. Enter. There you go. It fixed it. All right, yay. All right, we just got to fix this bottom here. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. We're just going to draw it and pat it over to the other side. So let me remove that side. Just like that. How do I want to do it? I can use that face as a reference, but I'll use this one. Yeah, since that butts up against that face there, I'm going to use this face right here as a shape binder. All right, so here's the bottom. We want to come up here to bottom, double click it to make it active. And then we want to select this face here and create a shape binder. And because that body's active, it drops it right into the bottom. All right, reorientate that. Now I'm going to select this side over here. I'm going to double click it. Click it again. Okay, I just wanted to see if it was side or side 2. It's side, so I'm going to turn that off. There's our shape binder. And I'm going to see if this shape binder will show up in the sketch here that we already drew, then we can use it. If not, we're going to have to start a new sketch. So let me double click on this sketch here. The shape binder is not there. All right, let me close it. So what I'm going to have to do is delete that sketch. Yeah. Delete the sketch. It's not liking what I'm trying to do here. Oh, because of the pad. Yep, I'm going to delete the pad too. Delete that. And we're essentially in the bottom, the body called bottom, and we're starting over. We have no sketch, but we do have a binder for reference. And I'm going to select that binder here and then select sketch, and it'll put a sketch hopefully on that binder. But the binder is on the opposite side. So remember, this icon right here removes anything that's in your way. Select it. There you go. Everything's moved out of my way. And now we can come down here and do a bottom. But first we have to set references. We want to reference this slanted line here. So I'm going to come up here and hit reference. Select that line. Select it, right click, get out of it, And now we're off and running because we can select poly and we don't want to go all the way over to that line. So what I'm going to do is somewhere we're going to butt up to that line, but I can't hit reference and use it. It won't, as far as I know, it won't let me. So, but let me try. Let me right click, get out of this, hit reference, see if it'll let me grab it. Nope, I didn't think so. All right, so I'm just gonna grab poly, and this is a point we're gonna lock in on. I'm just gonna go over here to this line. I don't want to select that and lock it in there. I know I'm going to come up here. I want that to be vertical. There's a vertical constraint. I want to come over here and select this line. I know it's orange and it's giving me all kinds of errors, but I'm going to fix that. Okay, got horizontal across. No, it didn't go horizontal. It doesn't like what I did. The reason being the same as in one of the other sketches where we went from point to point using a pre-existing line as reference, then that means we don't need this horizontal constraint. So let me select that, delete it on my keyboard, and we're back in business. That is still constrained horizontal. All right, but we need to close the line from here to here. We didn't do that. Select the line there, go up to there. There we go. So really, we got 2 degrees of freedom. It should be this one over here and this one up here. We know the height, so I can select that. Let me select it. And the height is 0.375. Enter. And then we know that it's 375 from this side to here. So I'll just go from, from this line. From that line to that dot there, dimension 0.375. Enter. And it's fully constrained, and I can close the sketch now. There we are. The binder is there. I can, a couple of ways to turn the binder off. You can just select it, and you can do that with anything in the model, but you run into issues when you do that, and I'll explain. But first, let me show you how to do it. You do that. I just selected the binder, and on your keyboard, you hit the space bar, and it goes away. Hit it again, it comes back. Okay, that's good for binders, but you can also turn binders off and on up here too. Up in the left, see? That's where I tend to do it. The reason being is, let me open up this one of these bodies and I'll show you. Like that pad, which pad is it? It's the back. All right, if I just select that back and hit my space bar, the back goes away. If I collapse it, the eyeball on the back is still on. And you're like, well, it's on, where's my back? And you have to open it up to find it. So I generally stay away from selecting objects and using my space bar. I usually go right here to the body, select the body, then I can hit my space bar on my keyboard and it goes away, select it again. And it turns everything off under that body instead of just the pad. That has created so much confusion for me in the past until I learned what that was all about. All right, so we got our bottom down here, the sketch. Let me make that sketch active. The bottom is active. Sketch is active. Now we hit pad. And you can see where the pad's going. I'm just going to go ahead and type 8.5. There you go. And let me turn this off down here. All right, there you go. Flip it over. And there you go. And then when I turn that side back on, over here, there you go, that side there. I'm going to collapse the bottom. turn the side back on, it's back. There we go. And that bottom, let me turn the side off. That bottom has that angle piece there. So sometimes it's not, you know, if I would have studied this a little bit more, planned my attack, I would have saved you the trouble of patting this bottom vertically on the Z-axis using the XY plane, and I would have seen that slant or realized that that bottom needed a slant. Now I could have come in here and drawn on the edge and put a special fillet along that side to match it, but it would have just been a little more difficult. So study what you're going to draw, try to plan ahead as best you can. Let me turn the side back on, and as far as I know, we're done. Hit that. Yeah. All right, very good. Yay. And of course, we got to change the color. Select back and hold down my control key and select all these bodies. Body, body, body. Come down to the view tab, shape appearance, select that. We'll go with that color there. You know, well, I'm gonna adjust the vertical down, get a little darker. Hit OK, and that, and there we go. Oh, wow. And I'm going to, I just realized I didn't do a save as, so I'll, and I didn't do it here either. I was in a little bit of a hurry tonight because I got to be somewhere in another hour, so I just rushed into it. But I think we got another quality video under our belt. Let me go ahead and name the file, and then we can close out. We're good to go. All right, so I'll close it, hit save, and I'll type in fishtail is a fishtail wall box. Okay. Now, there's something else I told you I was going to show you, and I promise you it's going to be really fast. I just remembered it. Let me start something else. I'm going to turn this fishtail box back on, open it back up, and show you what I'm talking about. All right, now, from a woodworker's perspective, we would build these sides, the bottom, the front, and all that individually, and probably use brad nails and glue to put it together, or screws, whatever, however you would do that, or just glue itself. What if you wanted to 3D print this? You wouldn't want to 3D print all these parts. What you would rather do is build this as one assembly. Well, I'm sorry, not even an assembly, but one part. So I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper on other videos, but I'm going to give you a quick example. Let me create another body here and show you. I'm going to create a sketch in this plane here. Let me hit sketch, that body, and I know that's the XY plane, so I'll double click there. Okay, there's the box. I'm just going to put something roughly the same size as that box we just drew, right there. Right click, and we got 4 degrees of freedom, all that. This is just for show, so I'm just going to close it. Let me put this back up here. Now I'm going to pat it. And I'm just going to maybe make it, let's go with 4 inches deep. 4 inches, hit that, okay. Now, if I was a 3D printer, a maker, I guess is their name. And someday I do want to get into 3D printing. It's just not the right time for me right now, but I will. This is how I would approach it. I would start off with something like this, and like this back here would probably be part of that as well. And then I'd come over here and grab this face right here, that top, and come up here to the right and use the shell command. Or what it's going to do is it's a thickness. It's going to take that face and push it down into the object and give all 5 sides a thickness. Select that. Now let me rotate. Look at that. All right, let's come over here and let's just make the box 3/8, 0.375. And I'm going to select out here somewhere. There you go. All right, look at that. That would be one body, not several bodies made together. That is what you would want to send to a 3D printer if you were making this box. Of course, this thing here, there's a way you can go in here and, like select that. Wait, let me see. Let me hit OK. I'll select that face right there. Do that. I'm just going to draw. It's just going to be so quick. Well, let me reference it. There you go. Reference it. I'll just leave it at that. Rectangle. Oh, wait a minute. Reference. There we go. Right click. Oh, now my cursor is working. Rectangle. Grab that endpoint, and I'm just going to give you an idea of. All right. I know I want it to align with that endpoint. All right, so this point here and that point there, I want to make them vertically constrained. There you go. And this line here, let me grab reference. Grab that line right there as a reference. And I'm going to select this line and make them coincidental. Nope, it's not going to work. Boom. Nope. Well, I know there's 3/8, so I'm going to grab this side over here. I wanted this to be easy. You'll see as soon as I'm done. Right click. I don't want that. All right. So I want to go, we got 1 degree of freedom. I want to go from that line to that line. Dimension it. There you go. 0.375. Enter. Okay. All right, so you see I drew on from the top view up here, I drew a piece onto there. I'm going to close it, and then I'll pad it, and let's zoom in. Look at that. Now that back all of a sudden they fused together as one part. And I can continue going up here, get it to the right height. Okay. And then what I could do is come in here, I could select that, start a sketch, go up here and remove that, and I can draw that shape there and subtract it off of there and build the box, and then 3D print it all as one body over here in lieu of what we just went through to develop all those sides. So that's the distinction that I make between 3D printing and woodworking. That's why when I go online, I see so many people drawing their projects for a 3D printer, and there's not many that I've seen that are from the perspective of a woodworker. So thank you for allowing me to give you that quick representation, and I'll probably cover that more in the future. I've only got 3 more after this one. I think 8, let me see, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 9 will be my last one. And then after that, there's going to be a series of kind of more advanced things. I'll announce that when that time comes. Right now, I'm just focusing on learning how to provide quality videos, which really requires me learning, getting over my camera shyness, and receiving feedback from you, the viewer. So if you have something to add, constructive criticism, you can't hurt my feelings. Let me know. I definitely want to make this better for everybody. So there you go. All right, I'm going to shut that down, and I won't save the changes. Discard. I just wanted you to see that. All right, transition over to my face. There you go. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I know for such a simple wall box, it took a lot of explaining. You saw me make a couple of mistakes. I changed my path procedure, my approach to how I wanted to draw the bottom and other things. And that's what happens when you get in there. The more you do this, the more you just get used to doing it. It really does. It gets a little easier, quicker. Don't give up. This was even though it was an easy project, it was pretty intense with having to draw all these parts and align them and move them around. There's probably a quicker way to doing this using the assemblies workbench, but what I like to do, and if you want to follow along, I'd rather learn how to do this type of alignment within the workbench that I'm using and get very good at it. And then once I move to the assembly workbench, it will make sense. Instead of just immediately jumping to the assembly workbench, what they're doing with assembly workbenches is taking all the effort that I just did and trying to align everything. It kind of does it in the background. You just select edges and they just pop together, and then you rotate them around, get them in place. That's not really helping you as a user. I think you should learn, at a very basic way to do that, which is what I showed you today, before you move on to assemblies. So what assembly really is good for is when you get parts that hinge together, any kind of moving parts, sliding parts. It's really more for mechanical type assemblies. I'll eventually get there to that more advanced, medium to advanced level. But I just wanted you to see this today. Hey, we added bodies, we moved them around, we're good. The next several videos, we're going to go into, I want to show you how to rotate objects, make an object that are rotating a profile, and a couple other things. I'm raising the level of difficulty just a little bit more each time. And I think I'm going to quit by video 9 in that series, lick my wounds, take my lessons learned, and decide on another series that I'd like to do, and along with improving my skills in teaching. But that's how you learn sometimes, is trying to show other people how to do it. You learn better yourself. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me. Thank you, and steady as she goes.